Taction USA is your go-to source for crime scene and evidence collection supplies. Taction USA offers quality products all designed and tested by active duty first responders and investigators. With no minimum order, you can order as much or as little as you need. Ordering is fast with no hassle attached. Check out TactionUSA.com today and find the quality and quantity you need when it comes to crime scene and evidence collection supplies. That's TactionUSA.com, or look for the link in our show notes and Facebook posts.
Welcome to Crossing the Tape in the News. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Hillary, and I'm joined by my husband,
Brendan.
And today, unfortunately, we're bringing you a story of an officer down in the line of duty, the Vermont Border Patrol agent tragedy.
It's probably a bit unusual for a Border Patrol agent on the northern edge of the country to be caught up in the line of fire.
Yeah, I was a little surprised when I saw that headline.
I mean, yeah, when you see news about a Border Patrol agent being injured or unfortunately killed, probably first thing you think of is along the Mexico border.
Right.
But this one occurred in January. Border Patrol agent David Maland was shot and killed during a traffic stop in Vermont. That particular stretch of highway is a main thoroughfare to Canada. The suspect then fled and a manhunt was underway. The suspects, a male and female, were caught only a few days later. And
right.
An investigation looked at this case further, and some more and more bizarre facts began to surface.
And I want to point out, too, with the suspects, we'll get into it, but the male and female were the original suspects. And then we find out a little bit more about who was actually in the car, but how some of the other suspects were connected.
Yeah, this whole thing was really, really odd. And it's going to continue to unfold. We'll probably have to do some follow-up later on.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those stories we need to follow up on. But it was so bizarre that when I did the research, I thought, well, if I get too deep into this, we're going to get too heavy-handed into the investigation.
So one of the biggest initial pieces of evidence was that the firearm the suspects used to shoot and kill the Border Patrol agent was connected to two other homicides that occurred in 2022 in Pennsylvania. So who were these people? Well, there was Teresa Youngblood, age 21, and Maximilian Snyder, 22, both from the Seattle area.
And Teresa is the main suspect, I should say.
They were detained in California. Snyder is facing charges for a murder he allegedly committed in California earlier this year. The victim was an elderly landlord who was going to testify in court as a witness that he had been attacked by someone with a samurai sword in 2022. So we've got a witness to a potentially deadly attack.
Right.
Turns up dead.
Yeah, and I tried to find a little bit more about that aspect of the story, and I couldn't. But Maximilian and Teresa were connected. They had a relationship, is how they are connected.
Right. That attack took place when the landlord tried to remove squatters from his property. Youngblood has been charged to be in connection with the fatal shooting of Agent Maland. Her charges are one count of using a deadly weapon while assaulting a U.S. Border Patrol agent. The other charge is using and discharging a firearm during the assault. This story of tragedy escalated with the death of another person in the vehicle traveling with Youngblood. That was Ophelia Bachholt. She was caught in the crossfire, though Bachholt may have been firing as well. That's unknown at this point. Of the shootout during the traffic stop. The incident was so shocking that the FBI began to look into the case. It's believed that Youngblood and Bachholt fired at Border Patrol agents because they were afraid of being caught in connection with many other deaths.
Right. Like this, like you said,
it's going to keep unfolding.
It's going to keep unfolding, and we might have to have one or two more episodes on it, just because there's so much that goes with all of this.
It'll be interesting when these people start going to trial.
Yeah.
What, the whole list of charges that they end up with.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the firearm used in this incident had been purchased in 2024 by a potential suspect in an unsolved 2022 double murder in Pennsylvania. So what else do we know? We know that Youngblood was a person of interest in both the murders in California and Pennsylvania, We also know authorities were watching them, her and Bachhold, somewhat carefully because they'd been acting suspicious a few days prior to the incident in Vermont. So they're already on the short list of suspects for these other murders.
Well, yeah. And then they give themselves away by acting and, suspiciously just in general.
Right.
They caught the attention, which makes me wonder, what were they doing? Because if you're just traveling, how are you acting so suspicious that already people are,
you're throwing up these red flags.
They were persons of interest, though. So that's what I'm thinking, is that maybe they were acting suspicious, but they already knew who they were.
Right. They're already watching them.
Right.
And noticing this odd behavior.
Right.
Both had been seen in tactical clothing and openly carrying weapons. Not crimes, but when you're murder suspects, that's...
Right.
People start to wonder.
True.
While legal in Vermont, it's not commonly seen. And we know that during a search of the vehicle, a Prius, which, we won't... This isn't an indictment on the Prius drivers.
But I thought that was a little... Really? A Prius? Oh, okay.
Investigators found 5 cell phones, 3 people in the car, 5 phones.
That's a little bit odd.
A night vision device, some computers. They also found evidence of Youngblood using LSD. And at the time of the incident, 2 suspects had been staying with another potentially violent person.
Right. They had been rooming with somebody who had a record and was very violent, and authorities already knew they were fraternizing with this person.
Yeah. Right now, Youngblood is in custody because she's considered a flight risk. Well, yeah. It's unknown why Snyder killed the landlord.
Yeah. That we assume, allegedly.
Right. Yes.
It's still alleged,
yeah,
but
it is unknown why, although it's speculated he was taking revenge for a friend, because, again, that landlord was a witness in a samurai sorting attack.
Yeah.
Or was the victim of.
Yeah, and what I could find in my research was that, Snyder may or may not have been there, but it might have been he was avenging a friend.
Yeah, so his friend was
going
to take the heat for what they may or may not have done.
Which, that would have been a high charge, but murder is a lot higher.
Right.
And I should have looked up the charges in California. I didn't. But, assault versus... Yeah. We'll get there, I'm sure, in another episode. Mm-hmm. But...
Because this is, like I say, there's going to be more things attached to this and thrown into it.
But I never understand when people are in trouble and then they just make it worse. Especially with murder. That's the highest charge you can have.
I'm going to end up doing 10 years for this. I better kill somebody.
What are you doing?
Let's see. Snyder and Youngblood may or may not have been married. Mm-hmm. Or, may not be married.
Be married, yeah.
That's unclear at this point, but there's definitely a connection between them. They were part of a cult-like group. This is where it gets real strange. The leader of that group's been arrested, and they've been linked to 6 murders.
Yeah, and I was really tempted to get into the cult aspect of it, but I was like, we're going to go way down a rabbit hole that we're probably going to uncover more later.
That'll probably be more appropriate for the follow-up.
Right.
When, people are taking plea deals or testifying against each other, because... You know how these folks are. They'll start to rat.
It certainly is going to be interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Expect a lot of bizarre information when we do a follow-up. Those incidents with that group date back to 2016. The leader's charges include trespassing, possession of a firearm in a vehicle, obstructing and hindering. It'll be interesting to see if they're charged with anything more, given the alleged connection with the 6 murders. So that's all still... in the works. Right now we know these folks are in custody, but...
And they have some kind of connection, but we don't know what that connection is at the moment.
Yes. As of February 7th, Youngblood appeared in court and was indicted for her charges. Her trial is scheduled to begin May 8th, but of course those dates often change as we get closer.
And I couldn't find Snyder's. I looked. I'm not sure when his court date is, but I'm sure we'll be bringing you a follow-up with this story because it's going to get more bizarre with time, I think. Yes. And I think you're right. I think people are going to turn on each other. They're going to rat each other out. There's going to be a canary. Yeah.
Other members of this supposed cult are going to come forward or be, plucked out and squeezed for information.
Right. So it'll be quite interesting.
Yes. But most importantly, rest in peace, Agent David Maland.
Yes, and I did try to find more on the agent himself, because we are...
That's the most important thing to us.
Yes, we're high supporters of law enforcement, but I couldn't find a whole lot, but I'm hoping that everything is justified for him and his family's sake.
Yes. So that is all for episode 4 of In the News. We'll be back again soon with a full episode and more news later on this month. We appreciate your patience. Lately, this episode was supposed to come out a little earlier, but work is work. And I'm sure you all know exactly what that means.
Yeah, especially in our line of business.
Yes, I'm sleepy.
Yeah, and I have to go along with it. Thanks for listening. Stay safe.
Join us again, and so long. Due to the array of duties officers must carry out, comfortable, reliable footwear is paramount, and not just any old boot will do. Officers must be able to count on their boots to appear professional and perform at a high level regardless of the task at hand. 511's 8-inch AT AR670-1 boots meet all of these neat criteria and more. Featuring the all-terrain load assistance system as well as ortholite footbeds, you'll know the meaning of the word comfort each time you put them on. This soft padding allows officers to endure long shifts without fatigue, sweat, or discomfort. You'll also find the added confidence in your step not only because of the sharp appearance of these boots, but because of the highly adaptive soles. Slip-resistant and traction-focused, the AR6701 boots are designed to help you go anywhere you need to with ease. Additionally, these boots are compliant with U.S. Army uniform regulations. I've worn 511 AT boots for years, and can tell you from experience they will never disappoint. Get your AR670-1 boots or any other high-quality AT boots from 511 today.